if you refuse to see anything but the best for your future, you will eventually attain it. You will no longer tolerate anything that hinders your progress. You will become the architect of your life, guided by your heart's standards, gracefully discarding the outdated. This allows space for updates to occur. Continuously renew yourself with love until all that remains is the wholeness within your being. And once we really start looking into our future, and we, rather than focusing on our weaknesses, we focus on developing our strength. Like Bruce Lee said, do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. We recognize that there's so much we can do. There's so much we can work on. Sometimes we feel aimless or we feel goalless. We have a lack of direction. But if we would just focus on our weaknesses and we would recognize why we look them from such a negative perspective, we will notice, well, because we've been judged in the past, because we are comparing ourselves with others, because our reality is not how we would like it to be. So therefore we fall into this negative perception of life, and suddenly all we feel is fear and shame and guilt and worry and sadness and depression and so on. And those are really low frequencies that are anchoring us in the state where we don't want to change anything because we feel so bad, because we are so victimized by our own minds. But in order to shift, in order to push through this process, actually to flow through this process, is to recognize your weaknesses as undeveloped potential, as undeveloped talents, gifts, skills, passions, and anything that may awaken as a byproduct of digging deeper into your soul. As Charles Kettering said really beautifully, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. And it just means that when we identify something that is maybe bothering us, or something that is holding us back, or something that is limiting our life's experiences, we are halfway there to solve it. Just identifying it, noticing, okay, this is a challenge for me. And if we dig deeper into some incredible minds recorded in certain books, right? If we start reading certain books that can actually help us to see this challenge from another perspective, or sometimes we can hear it in videos or podcasts or wherever. We have to be careful with information, as we are living in this age of information. For example, the weekday edition of the New York Times contains more information than the average person was exposed to during an entire lifetime in 17th century in England. This is an incredible data, because we are not used to be exposed to so much of information. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, it's because you're not used to be exposed to so much of information. So you need to learn to navigate yourself through everything that's happening. In the past, people were only exposed to criticism and negativity when they were talking with someone, or when they were, hanging in circles. But now you only turn on your phone and you will be exposed to negativity and certain negative news and whatever may be going on in the world. So you really have to pay attention to what you allow yourself to perceive. And when you notice that you have certain weaknesses, you have certain dark spots in your soul, it's completely okay. Accept that, my friend. Because a first step towards transformation is acceptance. Acceptance will allow you to see yourself more objectively. Like when you're talking with a friend, you can always be helpful and sometimes inspiring to that person. But when you're looking at yourself, you're all negative. You're all, constantly thinking about yourself critically. Like you're a problem rather than a source of the solution. So really pay attention to that. Do not pray for an easy life, because often when people are dealing with hard things, they pray, oh, I wish my life would be easier. I wish I would have less stress. I wish these things would disappear. But actually, if we build our own strength, we can endure a life of meaning, a life of purpose. To any leader who's living a purposeful life, those people are not living easy lives. Those people are not living stress-free lives. They've learned to cope with the stress. They've learned to cope with challenges. Because actually, when we're exposed to more challenges, we start feeding our capacity for solving them. When we're avoiding the challenges, we become really weak when it comes to challenging situations, right? So it's all about what we choose to feed. And I like to choose to feed the part of me that sees the potential, that sees the solutions, that sees opportunities. So I often meditate on that. When I notice a certain weakness within myself, I will meditate on it. Firstly, what can I learn from this part of me? What maybe happened in the past to me that awakened that wound, and how to open up that wound and be vulnerable towards myself so I can allow light to enter in. Like Rumi said, wounds are the places through which light can enter your soul. So if you just allow yourself to open up these wounds and study them, you will notice that maybe hurt people hurt you and you've been exposed to wrongdoings. But your pain requires attention. It requires compassion. And your responsibility is to heal it. Your responsibility is to heal it, to take care of it. Because by healing yourself, you're healing the world. Maybe the wrongdoings were not your fault, but the healing is your responsibility, my friends. And there's a really wonderful Chinese story, a mythological story, but when it comes to mythology, I call it as the real past, because there's so much of connection in any mythological story. Doesn't matter if you go into ancient Chinese stories or ancient Greek stories, ancient Egyptian stories, we find so much of similarity that eventually we start recognizing that this may be actually our true history. So the Chinese story goes like that. Thousands of years ago, it was believed that everyone who walked the earth was God. But humankind abused its limitless powers, so the Supreme God decided to hide the Godhead, the source of all this potential, so that no one could find it. The question then became, where could such a thing be hidden? The first advisor suggested it could be placed deep in the ground, to which the Supreme God replied, no, eventually someone will dig deep enough and find it. The second advisor then offered, what if we place the Godhead at the bottom of the deepest ocean? To which the Supreme God responded, no, eventually someone will dive deep enough and find it. The third advisor then chimed in and said, well, why don't we put it on the top of the highest mountain? Which prompted the Supreme God to reply, no, I'm certain that eventually someone will scale the highest of peaks and find it. After reflecting for some time, the Supreme God found the solution. He said, I will put this source of whole human power, potential, and purpose inside the hearts of every man, woman, and child on the planet, for they will never think to look there. And isn't that something we've heard before? But it reminds us that if we do not come across this power, through our inner work, through our inner healing, through our inner research and transformation, we may abuse it. That's why in the past, whatever source has hidden this great potential into our hearts, it's not in the tool, it's not in the technology, it's within yourself. And once we recognize that, we stop concentrating on what we don't have. Because every time you concentrate on what you don't have, you neglect what you already have, right? You rather focus onto yourself, into yourself, and recognize what you already have and how to use what you have for the transformation you want to experience in your life. Like anytime we are facing with certain challenges, like a lack of money, a lack of health, a lack of maybe company or whatever, we could ask ourselves, what am I not doing that I would like to do, that I want to do, but I feel too afraid, right? What am I not doing that I know I should do, but somehow, some way I don't find courage to do, right? Plato said, courage is knowing what not to be afraid. So fear is not a problem. Being courageous doesn't mean that you don't feel fear. Being courageous just means what fear to embrace, right? When you feel worry for something, like you want to expose yourself to something new, like you want to start making videos, or you want to apply for the new job, or you want to ask that special person to go out with you, you will feel afraid. You will be, shaking. You will be worried. What if that person may refuse you? What if you will experience a no for an answer, whatever it is? But courage will say to you, does it make any sense? Is this a good reason to not doing it? It will ask you, is this a good reason for not doing it? And my answer is, sure not. Because fear shouldn't block you. The only way to embrace fear is to do what you know you have to do anyway. That's courage. Courage is not feeling fear. It's feeling fear, but doing it anyway because you know it's for your greatest possible good, right? So by concentrating on what you don't have, you neglect what you already have. It's a lack mindset that's made out of low frequency of fear and disbelief. And a grateful person never does that. A grateful person focus on what may become out of what you already have. If you keep evolving your body in terms of skills, if you keep evolving your mind in terms of intelligence and wisdom, and if you keep evolving your spirit in terms of talents and well-being, nurturing, balance between external responsibilities and internal responsibilities, something we've been talking yesterday. And like old Buddhist saying goes, every arrow that hits the bull's eye is the result of 100 misses, right? We try and we fail, and we try and we fail, and we try and we fail. But if we keep the mindset of growth, what is the mindset of growth? It reminds us that in any failure, we've learned something new. In any failure, we've grown a little bit more. In any failure, we've learned a lesson, and wisdom is seeking the lessons. That's what wisdom does. Wisdom is seeking the lessons. And that's why it's one of the most important virtues when it comes to ancient Greek philosophy. Wisdom, courage, moderation, and justice are four most important virtues to all ancient Greek philosophers. And when we're studying wisdom, what wisdom is an ability to see lessons in our life situations, in our hard times, in our breakthroughs, in our breakdowns, and so on. And like the saying goes, breakthrough requires breakdown. Sometimes it just is like that. And if we recognize that in order to become really skillful at something, in order to become intelligent at something, in order to become really, really good with nurturing our talents, we have to miss the target so many times that actually we start hitting it, right? We try things all over again. And I know how it is because I've built many things in my life out of nothing. So I know how it is when we're failing and failing and failing and failing until something starts working. I receive so many messages about if I could help people to start on their YouTube channels or how to build Instagram page or whatever it is. And I always say, well, just start and be creative, be playful, play with algorithms. You will see some things will work, some things will not work, but you have to play with that. Don't look it as something hard to attain, something, algorithms may be too complex for many people, but look at it as a play. Life is all about playfulness. We have to look at it as a game. And when we start playing, we actually start expanding our creative capacities. We start to look at whatever we're doing from all kinds of different perspectives. Like, how can I change it? How can I improve it? How can I make it more interesting? How can I bring more wisdom to it? How can I package a message into it? And then people are wondering, well, I don't think like that. Like, I'm not talented enough, but talents need to be evolved. We are not just born talented. Sure, we have certain gifts, but without evolving them, without recognizing them, without shaping and sharpening them, we'll not even notice them. So sure, you have to address what feels natural to you, but more than that, you have to really lovingly work on that, lovingly evolving them, right? And like Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the reward of the thing well done is to have done it, right? To have done it. Because I know how it is when we're not seeing the results we would like to see. But as long as we're keeping up and keep improving our work and keep making sure that every single day we are getting a bit better at whatever we're doing, even if it feels like we've done a few steps backwards, it's time for reflection, to see the wisdom in whatever we've maybe done wrong, and then to apply the wisdom, apply the lessons, and try it one more time, and then keep trying it, and keep doing, and keep doing, and keep doing until you become much better at it. You will notice, well, at the times when you see no results, be proud of yourself because you've done it. Be proud of yourself because you've done it. Study some ancient Greek philosophy. Go into Stoicism. If you're worried when things are not working out, because you will notice that more than anything, what matters is that you've done righteous acts, right? More than anything, it's important that you've done what makes you sleep at ease, what helps you to have an inner peace, and what puts your heart into a coherent state, right? To be grateful that you've done it, that you've tried working on it, or that you've started working on it and you've actually done the progress. Because results will eventually find you. But the challenges are usually those signs that what you want is coming towards you, but you have to strengthen your spirit at the times when it is not happening the way you would like, right? We always need to build a muscle. And maybe right now you are in the phase where you are building a muscle, but make sure that you're focusing on the best, that you're focusing, like I said at the beginning. If you refuse to see anything but the best for your future, you will eventually attain it, because that's the law of the universe. The first Hermetic principle says the universe is mental, everything is mind. So make sure that you choose to see the best for yourself. Because, the real value of setting and achieving goals lies not in reward you receive, but in the person you become as a result of reaching your goals. So when you're seeing the best for you, for your future, for your relationships, for your financial growth, for your service, for your purpose, you will notice that you have to become a person that is able to maintain that lifestyle. And to become a person that's able to maintain that lifestyle, it takes work, right? Like I said before, it takes courage, it takes moderation, it takes justice, it takes right acts, it takes shift in our habits. And to shift certain habits, it requires a lot of time and work to reprogram our brain, to rewire our way of thinking and looking on life. So we fail so many times at doing that we may think, well, it's not possible, until we experience a breakthrough. And I've been through that so many times that I know how it is. And still, it's hard for me. Changing certain habits, it's hard for me. And it's hard for many of us. But I will refuse to give up on that, because I know that on the other side, there's more loving me, there's wiser me, there's more intelligent me, there's more talented me, there's more compassionate me, that walks in awe with life, that walks in reverence for anything that I set my mind to. And I know I can become that version of myself, and I'm willing to become it. So I refuse to say no when it comes to any challenge, because I know that by finding the solution, I will learn to tap deeper into my potential. So my friends, I hope this found you at the right time today. I hope you found something valuable in today's message. I'm sending you all much love, blessings, and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting. You can find a deeper story of this painting in the link in the description of our Etsy shop, or there are descriptions of all my paintings, the stories behind them. They're quite philosophical and inspiring, so go there and check it out. Thanks to all of you for supporting my art in our Etsy shop. I Draw My Passion. You're all truly appreciated. I love you all, my friends, and till next time, one love.